All kids out the pool. All kids out the pool. It's time for CBM Productions. All kids out.
Hi, I'm CBM Productions. Did you wash your hands with soap? I hope so. Anyways, today we're going to do a very special ranking video. I did this a couple years ago, back during the COVID lockdown era, where I decided to rank every single movie I reviewed in the Marvel era and the DC era. Now, to put into context for those who haven't watched my channel for a long time, I have several retrospectives on my channel where I would individually review each movie and go over the history of each movie in the comic book genre, at least for Marvel and DC. So I had 4 different retrospectives, one being the Marvel Film Retrospective, one being the DC Film Retrospective, and then 2 smaller ones dubbed the Marvel Imprint and the DC Imprint Retrospectives, respectively. They were a good chunk of content that I made back then, back when I was just making reviews non-stop, and so I thought it'd be kind of fun since it's been a minute since I did that last ranking where I ranked every single Marvel and DC movie. I thought with a new format, new style, and a lot more movies since 2020, that it'd be fun going over every single one of these movies once again. Now, if you want to know my parameters while I'm considering a Marvel or DC movie for this ranking video at least, you can look at all the reviews I've done on my retrospectives on my channel. I'll link them up above and probably put them in the description down below. But essentially, I'll just be ranking every single theatrical release, Marvel and DC movie respectively. So for Marvel, I'll be going through the first Howard the Duck from 1986 all the way up to what's the most recent one, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. And then for DC, I'll be going through the entire slate of movies from Adam West's Batman film from 1966 all the way up to Black Adam recently. And also, I'll be including all the Marvel imprint and DC imprint movies, which are essentially movies that are based on comic books that are owned by specific companies like Vertigo or Image Entertainment or whatever that were owned or once owned by Marvel and or DC. So movies like Kick-Ass, Kingsman, Road to Perdition, Men in Black, The Losers, whatever you want to say, V for Vendetta, they'll all be eligible for this list. And unlike the previous version of this ranking video, I will be including several different cuts of the same movie. Certain films that I think the director's cut massively improve upon the mistakes of the original cuts, such as, Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut, both because of BVS and Justice League, and Ben Affleck's Daredevil film, both the theatrical and director's cut will be considered for this video. So that will basically be all my parameters for this video. If you are interested in my reviews, I have reviewed every single one of these movies I'll be talking about in this video from 2018 to 2022, and although some of those reviews are rough, especially the early ones from 2018, my god, those were ugh. If you are interested in checking them out, I will put cards above in the video. I will also be linking them down in the description, so if you are interested in checking them out, then you have the option to do so. Oh, sorry. This is my Jenna Ortega vacuum cleaner. Don't ask me why I have it, it's just fucking here. Anyways, let's get to ranking. This movie is the thing that nobody wanted. Marvel Studios, you can't do worse than this, right? Who was this made for? I guess some producer who really wanted to see Halle Berry sniff some catnip. What the hell? Captain America commits more crimes in this movie than he actually does saving people.
Where did Captain America learn how to steal a car?
Would you pull the car over, please? I think I'm going to be sick.
If John Walker is a better Captain America than you are, you should probably put down the shield.
Mr. President! Thanks.
Absolutely horrendous, but in the best way possible. And it's not even the worst version of these characters. Nuclear Man, throwing every nuke into the sun, having the ability to rebuild the Great Wall of China. You can't make this shit up, but it is fun. Okay, so with a bad credit card, right, does Bruce Wayne have his own bank? Like, does he just have the ability just to create his own currency and just withdraw and, deposit money whenever he feels like it? Does Bruce Wayne even need to make credit payments if it's just going back to him? Is it even legal to make your own currency in America? Well, I guess it's not even legal to be a vigilante as well. It's stupid, but it's fun. Did I mess up Grandma's souffle?
Souffle?
I'm gonna get it right if it kills me.
Oh, fuck! This is a movie that people constantly point towards when they talk about movies about women, written by men who have no understanding of what women are. This movie may be more fast-paced, entertaining, and well put together, in quotation marks, than some of the movies above it on this list. But honestly, this cut of the film is just so ugly and gross that it's a cut that I just never feel like watching ever again.
Hello, no!
I'm glad we have an actual hard R horror movie that's based on the Marvel character that's out there. It just sucks that the title character is relegated to the last 5 minutes for a final battle, and that's about it. This movie is still a punching bag for Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman all these years later. And I do hope they continue to dunk on this movie when Deadpool 3 comes out, because fuck this movie. This movie could have been so much more fun had they let the directors of Crank 1 and 2 actually just go full-fledged with their concept instead of just hacking it down to a PG-13 and forcing a generic story on them, but this is the reality.
Worst fucking deal I ever made.
What a waste for the final installment of the Blade trilogy. And man, Ryan Reynolds. He could not catch a break from being in bad comic book movies before Deadpool came out. For the first widely theatrically released Marvel movie, we got Duck Tits, Sperm Monsters, and Bestiality. Thanks, George Lucas. The beginning of the downfall of Christopher Reeve's Superman era. And the fact that this movie made Richard Pryor unfunny should be a federal offense. This movie was so short, it ended before it actually got a story going. What a waste of a great cast here. One of the most pointless spin-offs I've ever seen. It's just so generic. Style over substance in every single way. Give me the Erica WB. The fact they had the entire cast and crew from the first film come back, and this is what they come up with, I just hope the third film is better. Hey, Sony, can we chat for a minute? I have some serious questions regarding your, plans for this new Spider-Man-less Spider-Man universe. If you could take some advice from me, just stick to making Miles Morales movies for now. Please? Similar to Suicide Squad, this is a movie that puts a flashy soundtrack and quick editing over an actual good story and great characters. I do hope they reboot it at some point though, because this does have potential. Ang Lee put a lot of interesting ideas and themes in the absolute wrong type of movie. It has some great spots, but it's just a jumbled mess overall. Wes Craven, may he rest in peace. It was just the wrong time to make this type of movie with this type of budget. I feel so bad for Sean Connery here. After turning down both The Matrix and Lord of the Rings, this is a swan song for his entire acting career over decades. I mean, at least he has a legacy beforehand, but still, may he rest in peace. This is just an incomplete version of the movie. You won't see me acknowledging this version beyond this video. They should just stop this prequel series after Days of Future Past. Plain and simple. Yet another Ben Affleck superhero movie where the theatrical cut is incomplete and a complete mess. What a shock. All this movie did was undo the events of the first film, but it does have a kick-ass song though. It's a really bad cheesy mid-2000s superhero flick, but name me any other movie that has Nick Cage laughing at a monkey doing karate while having a jelly bean martini in his hand. Try me. I keep forgetting this movie actually exists. Like, this feels more like a parody of Men in Black than an actual sequel. Bryan Singer, you left X-Men 3 to do this movie? Really? I mean, you're a piece of shit at the end of the day, but still, really? That's about it. All they had to do was land the plane, but they had to force Dark Phoenix into just being a final battle for Wolverine, and force in several new characters in this final installment, and waste several other characters like Mystique and Cyclops. What a waste. This really isn't that much of a Punisher movie. I mean, it's more like a Dolph Lundgren revenge action flick from the 80s. It's good for the time being, but honestly, Frank Castle is so much more than this. I don't hate this film as much as some people do, but it does feel incomplete. Like, they cut out a lot of the Mafia buildup in this Mafia movie. It feels like 2/3 of a movie, honestly. It's fine for what it is, but incomplete at the end of the day. Man, I'm so glad that WB let Tim Burton go after the first 2 Batman movies and disregarded Joel Schumacher's original vision for a movie just to make a film that's meant to sell toys. WB, you never failed to disappoint me. How the Mighty Have Fallen. A 20-year-long gigantic X-Men franchise goes out with such a whimper. It's not even a disaster. It's just so underwhelming and forgettable. This is my least favorite MCU movie, which out of 30 movies so far, and this is the worst one, those are pretty good odds. I don't hate this movie, but it does canonically make Wonder Woman a rapist, which you'll wonder why James Gunn canceled the Wonder Woman 3. I mean, it's fine I guess, but honestly the only thing I really remember about it is how badass Helen Mirren is. This is the first female-led MCU film before Black Widow got her own movie. Who made that decision? I love Silver Surfer in this, but why does Doctor Doom have to be in every single Fantastic Four movie? There are more villains in their catalog, you know? I don't hate this movie, but god damn it for being a movie that cursed this character into development hell for a decade plus ever since this movie came out and flopped. But on the bright side, Ryan Reynolds did get a wife and kids out of it. Beautifully made, but should have been a Disney Plus series. Way too many goddamn characters. This movie makes me feel like Joe Pesci in that one scene in Goodfellas.
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you? I make you laugh? I'm here to fucking amuse you? What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
Thank you, Dwayne, for saving the DC universe. Almost. Too little, too late. You shouldn't have waited for the character to die off to give her own movie, Marvel. The fact I like this more than Black Adam amuses the fuck out of me for some reason. It has its moments, but honestly, I just don't get the point of this Sony Spider-Man-less universe, other than trying to profit off the success of the MCU and Tom Holland. You know what I'm craving? Applesauce.
I'm gonna get my applesauce back. Did you know kidneys and applesauce are a delicacy in Sweden?
Could have been so much better, but I still want a third movie though if it does happen. They actually gave Swamp Thing a personality this time around. It's not great, but a much improved sequel. It's better in retrospect after No Way Home, but it's so sad that this universe could have been so much more. Had they let Mark Webb just make this a standalone sequel, instead of having to force 5 billion references to other movies that never got made, we could have gotten so much more from this universe. But now, it's as dead as Gwen Stacy is. It's fine, but after being delayed so many times, when it finally came out, it just felt irrelevant and unnecessary. It's a fun enough sequel, but it's mainly MCU fluff. I just hope Quantumania does more than just be a palate cleanser. It's a fun sequel, but it rushes through its story so much that it honestly feels like it ends before it actually gets to get going somewhere. I'm wishing the best for Venom 3 though. Maybe we'll actually see a Spider-Man in there. Somewhere? Hopefully? I had a good time with this movie back when it came out, but honestly, after being delayed by like 15 years, when it finally did come out, it just felt irrelevant. Mark Ruffalo looks unrecognizable in this. Good jobs in the makeup department. Another schlocky mid-2000 superhero movie that I can have some fun with for like nostalgia reasons. It just kind of sucks that this is the best version of the Fantastic Four we've gotten so far. This shouldn't have been a movie. Zack Snyder and crew does the best they can with this property, but honestly, it just misses the point so much of what made Alan Moore's original work so ingenious. Now, I've only seen a couple of episodes on the Batman animated series, so I don't really have a whole lot of connection to this, but I still found it enjoyable. Rest in peace, Kevin Conroy. This might be the more inferior version of the movie, but I'll never forget seeing Zod carve his face into the Mount Rushmore heads. This movie is dumb as shit, but I can have fun with it. Fuck Amber Heard though. People forget this is actually a Marvel movie. It even has a Stan Lee cameo in it. Rest in peace, legend. This movie was this close to being great, but they had to turn their last act into a giant Power Rangers fight. But still, it did set up that hype for Days of Future Past though. I used to be really lukewarm on this in its sequel, but honestly, I want to see more from Andrew Garfield's tenure as Spider-Man more than just cameos. Also, I can't get enough of the Lizard's enunciation in this.
Poor Peter Parker.
This is the version of the film that should have been released to theaters, but it's still a movie that had too much on its shoulders to carry, and didn't get it to be just a movie about Batman and Superman. Thanks, Warner Brothers. The more things changed, the more things stay the same, I guess. Like BVS, both cuts, this is a movie that focuses more on the world building side of things than just its own story and characters. I still found it fun though. I do want to see more Justin Hammer in the future. Bring him back, Marvel, please. This movie would have been better had the tone been more like the trailers, and Thor didn't just take a bath to set up Infinity War, and they didn't kill Quicksilver off in his first appearance. It's a strange movie. This is just pure unadulterated fun. I just can't help but smile every single time I see Adam West's tenure as Batman. It's just too enjoyable. One of the pillars to the modern age of superhero films we still live in today. It might have a lot of dated elements, but this is still an important film that will forever be a piece of superhero cinema. This is essentially a more mystical version of Iron Man, but if Tony Stark went on an acid trip in that cave instead of building a metal suit. I have a good time with this movie, a little fun Guy Ritchie knockoff film starring Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey on the side. It has no business existing in the DCU, but I have fun with it. This movie brought the franchise back on track, until International just kinda killed all that hype for it. As someone who hated the show back when it first premiered, this movie is so much better than I thought it would be. It's like a kiddie version of Deadpool, and I don't mean that version. People kind of shit on this movie, but honestly, every time I revisit it, I like it more and more. Especially after Love and Thunder, it looks better in retrospect. A very simple story told in a very effective way. Steve Rogers will forever be the best MCU character. I know people hated seeing Superman killing Zod and them destroying the entire city of Metropolis, but on the other hand, they did destroy an IHOP. So did we really lose anything of value? This movie needs more recognition. Thomas Jane is so good as Frank Castle. I mean, John Perthel's still great, but still. And also that Russian fight scene will forever be like one of my favorite scenes in any comic book movie. Oh my god, look, they're bringing in Black Bolt to the MCU. Oh, never mind. Oh wait, look, it's John Krasinski as Reed Richards. Okay. Hey, look, it's Captain Carter from the What If series. Oh shit. Hey, look, they're bringing back Patrick Stewart from the X-Men. Oh. Well, that was a waste. Man, I can't wait to see Vulture fight Spider-Man again after, he forgot who Peter Parker is. Oh, fuck. Never mind. It's so weird seeing Daniel Craig play an American, but it's still a damn good movie. Keanu Reeves might be the absolute wrong choice to play Constantine, but this is still a very interesting movie, and I do hope despite the DC changes in the leadership, that they still make a sequel to this. Damn. No Way Home made me like this movie a lot more than I thought I would.
Now dig on this.
It's Paul Rudd, how can you not love him? And Michael Pena's storytelling. If he's not in Quantumania, I'm gonna have a serious fit with you, Marvel. It's just a really solid 90s blockbuster that still holds up fairly well today. Now I feel like getting a glass of sugar and water. This is just such a heartfelt movie, and I can't wait for the sequel, even if it does get cut off at the knees afterwards. It may be a little too mean-spirited at points, but it's still a solid movie in my opinion. Just bring it home, Volume 3. I really enjoyed this version of the movie. It's a lot better than my expectations were setting it at. And it has Coolio in this version. Rest in peace, legend. I love Mysterio and his illusions in the movie. I love the locations that we visit, and I especially love that end credit stinger. But why did Tony Stark give Peter Parker unlimited access to killer drones? That makes no sense. Fuck healthcare or hospitals. Just go to the pit of Lazarus to have some random prisoner punch your broken back in a prison cell, and you'll be all healed up and ready to go. No anesthesia or medication required. The version of the film that should have been released to theaters. No question. Culturally significant, rich themes, some pretty goofy CGI. It all rounds out to be a pretty solid experience. Rest in power, Chadwick. The first true win of the DCEU, and as such, Gal Gadot most likely won't get a full tenure as this character, but she can at least claim that she's been the best female-led superhero film so far. Can everyone just appreciate and enjoy this movie now? Especially after the Mandarin twist got retconned, this movie is so much more than that one twist. It can be a little too weird at times for my liking, but I find it more enjoyable every single time I rewatch it. Can you please stop making noise? How's it been, Jenna? It's been a minute. How have you been? You doing okay? That's good. That's good. You look nice today. Del Toro did such a good job with this movie. Honestly, the Blade reboot is anywhere near the quality of these first two Blade movies, we'll be in good hands. Since Deadpool 3 is tying itself to the MCU now, in the same multiverse now, we have Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Bizarre, isn't it? One of the movies that really did turn the tide back in the day for the superhero genre, even if Michael Keaton couldn't turn his neck in that costume. This was such a surprise in Phase 4, and I honestly can't wait to see these characters again. Especially if they find themselves on the bus again, because god damn that action scene was fine. This certainly has some 90s cheese in it, but I always find it extremely entertaining and one of the pillars of the comic book genre that doesn't really get the recognition it deserves. And this Blade reboot will have a hard time catching up to these first two Blade movies, especially if it's not rated R. But then again,
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
I've said this before and I'll say it again, the fact this movie is as good as it is without Chadwick present, it's just a testament to how good the filmmakers made the movie. Hats off to y'all. Online harassment aside, the fact this movie got released and was able to be completed and officially released by Warner Bros. On HBO Max is something I didn't think we would get for another 20 years or so. And the fact that Zack Snyder got to complete his trilogy and get to officially show everyone his true vision of this movie is an incredible thing. This is a fun reinvention of the Thor character for the time, but after Endgame and Love and Thunder, I think it's time Thor needs another reinvention. A great start to a great trilogy. What else do I gotta say? This still has the best Nightcrawler of any of the X-Men movies. Let's see if the MCU can top it. There might be some character and logistical issues in the movie, but to be honest, with how well they landed up playing with basically everything else regarding the movie, of just being this epic conclusion to this 20 movie long saga over the course of a decade, it's such a culturally significant movie, and I don't think it will ever be topped within the MCU or outside the MCU. The first truly great superhero movie. This movie still makes me believe a man can fly. And apparently time travel as well. You and the Flash. Huh. Ryan Reynolds finally got to be in a great comic book movie. After years and years of slaying to get this role and get this movie made, He's now one of the most celebrated movie stars of all time and really has had a gigantic comeback. And he's still being bullied by Hugh Jackman. Good job, Hugh. This is such an awesome movie. Matthew Vaughn and his team did such a good job with this film and this entire cast as well. It might not be the most popular X-Men film or the one that people talk about the most, but it's one that does deserve to be on that top tier echelon of comic book movies. This will forever be one of the most influential superhero movies of all time, and especially after No Way Home, it's still relevant after 20 years. The villain of this film kind of summarizes my thoughts on Warner Bros. Decision making pre-James Gunn hire.
How do you fuck that up? How do you fuck that up?
The movie we all needed at a time where we just wanted to go back to the movies and really celebrate a movie again with a huge crowd. This was just such a triumph to see opening weekend, and I cannot wait to see the future of Tom Holland's tenure as Peter Parker. I just realized this movie is set in 2023. I'm really scared now. You just can't beat a classic. What else can I say? Hugo Weaving in this movie, my god, talk about visual and auditory sensations to the soul.
The only verdict is vengeance, a vendetta, held as a votive not in vain, for the value and veracity of such shall one day vindicate the vigilant and the virtuous.
This is a pretty good Joaquin Phoenix biopic. The Riddler did sure play a lot of games with Batman in this movie, but not as much as Warner Bros. Back when Ben Affleck was Batman. I'm sorry, buddy, but we are getting a great Batman universe out of it, so necessary evil? This is such a damn good movie. Matthew Vaughn and comic book movies just kind of just go together seamlessly. Well, apart from Kingsman 2, but still. This movie was so good I watched it twice in 2 different theaters in one night. I've never done that before or since this movie has come out. Listen, James Gunn, I know you're rebooting the entire DC universe, but if you do decide to keep your own properties like Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, I wouldn't be mad about it. This movie was more entertaining than both the comic Civil War run and also the real Civil War. Sorry, Mr. Lincoln. Such a phenomenal, almost swan song for Wolverine. It's like the Last of Us movie that we never got. That's now a series on HBO. So, yeah. Who'd think a decade ago that some of the biggest characters in the Marvel Universe nowadays would be a talking raccoon and a talking tree? But now a decade later, I'm honestly holding back tears not wanting to see these characters go away. So props to James Gunn for making that happen. It's the best movie involving a train fight.
That's crap.
Okay, it's the best movie about a struggling superhero.
Crap.
It's the best Spider-Man movie.
That's pretty good, but it's taken.
This movie really made me want to go back to church, but not for the reasons you might think. The one thing Sony is doing right with the Spider-Man IP. I cannot wait for the 2 sequels coming up, and honestly, this is the new standard for me when it comes to animated movies in my opinion. This is the film that made me love movies, and I can't take anything away from it. A modern day spin on all the President's Men said in the MCU. No wonder why this is still one of the best MCU movies to this day. You see, when Christopher Nolan blows up a hospital, he celebrates for it. But when I do it, people call me a terrorist. Favoritism? I think so. What am I doing? I don't care what people say. This is the best comic book movie of all time. And it's going to take one hell of a comic book movie to dethrone it. Bring it on, Secret Wars. Give me all you got. Come on. I want to see you try. Okay. Finally done. Finally done with this new version of the ranking video. So, if you enjoyed it, y'all know what to do to boost up the algorithm. Like, share, comment your ranking, subscribe, do all that type of stuff. And yeah, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to go to bed now. You should too. Yeah, so keep a good sleep schedule. Do your chores, do all that type of stuff. And yeah, peace out.